Greetings friends, today I want to talk about the Assault Intercessors and the Captain. We've seen loads of people start to run them, so I wanted to figure out, are they actually hot stuff? How do they compare against our best squad, which I've been preaching for a while as a Death Company? Should you be running them? How do they do point for point? So let's get into this week's tactics video. Hello and thanks for being here. If we are just meeting, I am John, the BA Commander, and every week I'm going to tell you how to get the best out of your Blood Angels and win more games of Warhammer 40,000. So if that's something you're interested, please do consider subscribing. So we're talking about the foot slogging units, and why would you bother running any of these when we know that we prefer jump pack units? Well, they are fairly cheap in points. You can get 5 Assault Intercessors plus a Captain for 155 points. That is OC 11. Or you get 5 Death Company Marines plus a Chaplain for 175. That is OC 6. And the reason that I included the Chaplain here is Death Company cannot be attached by the Captain. But the Chaplain is good with the Death Company. He's going to give them +1 to wound at all times. So that's something that's fairly decent, worth remembering. So both of these squads fit easily inside a Land Raider. In fact, one of these lists has actually been doing really well, and I think has driven a lot of people to run this combo of the Assault Intercessors plus the Captain, who's actually putting 2 squads inside a Land Raider. You'd obviously fit that many inside a Redeemer as well. The Captain uses his Rites of Battle, which means that you can get like 1 stratagem used on the unit for free. You would use Red Rampage, giving them +1 to wound from Lance and lethal hits, and then he also uses Finest Hour. When he uses Finest Hour, he gets 3 extra attacks, plus you get the extra attack from Sons of Sanguinius Charging, so this actually gives him 9 attacks. You would equip him with a Power Fist, and these would all have devastating wounds. So 9 attacks, hitting on 2s, dev wounds, and some reroll potential for wounds in here, because the Assault Intercessors have that Shock Assault rule that lets you reroll some wounds. So, let's just break this down and see point for point how they do against like 5 Death Company with Chaplain, who are like 20 points more expensive. So they're about 15% more expensive. Because I've been preaching now for a while, Death Company are our best unit. So let's start by having a look at the data sheets. Okay, so your Assault Intercessors, they have Shock Assault, rerolling wounds of 1 if you're within range of an objective marker. If the enemy units are within range, reroll all wounds instead. So each guy's going to get a chainsword, which will get +2 to the strength on the charge, making it strength 6 and 1 extra attack. So basically you're going to get 20 attacks in from the chainsword, and then you're going to get 4 attacks in from the strength 10 Power Fist for 75 points. Doesn't seem too bad. Having the Captain in there, I already mentioned. You're going to get the free stratagem. You're also going to get 3 additional attacks. So you come out the Land Raider and you blow everything to get the biggest alpha strike you can. Right, Death Company Marines. We know Death Company Marines are very, very good. They're going to reroll all hits. They need to be led by a Chaplain, otherwise they potentially cannot fill back and they don't have any OC. So the Chaplain is kind of core to these guys. But rerolling all hits with the Power Fist is very good. Each guy's going to get 4 attacks at strength 10 on the Power Fist. So that's going to be 20 Power Fists coming in, hitting on 3s, rerolling. That is an 88% chance to hit. So you're probably going to make about 18 hits statistically. Right. The Death Company do get abilities that make them more powerful when the unit has taken losses, but for this example we're not going to clarify that, or we're not going to use that. 115 points for 5 Death Company. Add in a Chaplain for 60 points. All this model is leading a unit. You're going to get +1 to wound. The Chaplain is going to get 6 attacks at strength 8 with -1, 2 damage on his Crodius. There is a very interesting play that doesn't come up very often, but you do get Spirited Leader, which is once per battle at the start of any phase, you can select 1 Adeptus Astartes unit that is battle shocked within 12 inches of this model. This unit is no longer battle shocked. The only play I can see here is, yeah, well, I guess you can pass a battle shock on a unit that you really need to pass battle shock with, but also, if your guys were inside a transport and the transport got destroyed and your guys fell out onto an objective, so like for example your opponent kills you in Overwatch, your guys spill out onto an objective and then it's the start of their turn, your guys are battle shocked, then you could use Spirited Leader to unbattle shock your guys. So there is some sort of edge play on this Chaplain. I don't think it comes up very often. I don't think anyone else has really talked about this, but I guess there is some value to Spirited Leader. So what have we got? We've got 5 Assault Intercessors for 155 points, OC 11, 20 Chainswords, 4 Power Fists, 9 Power Fists with dev wounds, rerolling 1s, and rerolling all wounds if we're fighting on an objective. We're going to leave the reroll all wounds for now and just compare the reroll 1s. The 5 Death Company plus a Chaplain, about 15% more expensive, 175 versus 150. 5, 20 Power Fists at Strength 10, 6 Croziers at Strength 8. We're rerolling all hits, and we've got +1 to all wound rolls as well. So this is actually a very good squad, and this is one of the best squads I think Blood Angels can field. You can actually field this exact same squad with jump packs. That would cost you 210, and that is very good with a 12-inch move, and I've been fielding that loads. But we're talking about Foot Sloggers inside Land Raiders, or I think these guys could go inside Rhinos, maybe? I don't know. I don't use Rhinos. That's up to you. But yeah, Land Raiders seem to be the hot stuff at the moment. Redeemers, certainly. You could fit 2 squads of these into a Redeemer. So let's talk about that. Survivability. Let's just start there, because the survivability between these 2 squads is negligible, right? You've got the Captain having 1 more wound than the Chaplain, and you've got the Death Company having a 6-up Feel No Pain against the Assault Intercessors having no Feel No Pain. So realistically, there's nothing in it. A 6-up Feel No Pain across 10 wounds is 16% more survivable, so that gives you 1.66 more wounds, but there's 1 extra wound on the Captain, and he has a 4-up and 1 save. So basically, these guys have the same survivability. So I would expect these guys to die fairly quickly when they're targeted as well. So the play is, you come out Land Raider, you blow all your abilities with that Captain, you charge a model or charge a unit, try and do a bunch of damage, and then expect to die. So I don't think there's any huge advantage here to the Death Company's 6-up Feel No Pain. Maybe they edge it ever so slightly, but I don't think it's worth 15% more points. So right before we get into the damage, if you do enjoy this video at any point, please remember to click the like button. I do really appreciate that. So let's talk about the damage. Assault Intercessors Chainswords. You've got 20 Chainswords coming in. You've got those 4 Power Fists coming in, and then you've got 9 Weapon Skill 2-up Dev Wound attacks coming in. And I'm going to move my camera a tiny bit so you can see the values for that bottom Dev Wound column. So I've concluded stuff like Incubi, Terminators, 8-bound, Talos, and Angrons. And I've just worked out exactly how much damage each model can do, hitting on their weapon skill and rerolling 1s to wound. And then we'll take the total damage from the whole squad, and we'll work out just how many models that kills. So against Incubi, we kill 12. Against Terminators, we kill somewhere between 4 and 5. Against 8-bound, we kill 5. Against the Talos, we kill 1. Maybe leave the other one on 1 wound. That's unfortunate, because they do come in squads of 2. And against Angron, we're actually going to do 12 damage to Angron. I'm surprised that this is so high for that squad, but that is the math. That is the math. So this is maybe one of the reasons. So this squad can punch up in that it can hit targets that have much higher toughness. You know, we are only strength 6. So we're actually able to hit. I mean, we do have a couple of strength 10 attacks in there as well. Well, actually, it's probably quite a lot. It's 13 strength 10 attacks, I guess, with the Captain. But the majority of the attacks feel like they're coming from Chainswords. So doing 12 damage into Angron is pretty nice. Killing 5 Terminators is very nice. Killing 5 8-bound is very nice. Killing a whole squad of Incubi is very nice. So these numbers are fairly decent, really. If we take the Death Company, these guys do 2 damage a swing. That's their obviously advantage here. The Chaplain also does 2 damage a swing. But here's the numbers for all the attacks into all the different things that we've talked about. So the interesting thing about the Death Company is because they're strength 10 and because they've got +1 to wound from the Chaplain, they're going to wound the Talos, the 8-bound, and the Terminators on 2s. Makes their wound rolling super reliable. So although they do not have any rerolls on wounds, they are wounding on 2s. They are 2 damage a swing. And this is one of the reasons that Death Company are so lusted after or so used at the moment, because they do a very, very high amount of damage. So here's the damage. Here's the Chaplain damage. Bear in mind he's now swinging at strength 8, which is quite nice for a Crozius. So against everything except Angron, he's got a very good wound roll as well. In fact, it would be 2s because of the +1 to wound. So total damage from this unit. And then dead models. So dead models is basically identical. We kill 1 less Incubi, but it makes sense because the Chainswords are better against Incubi because you've got weight of attacks. We kill the exact same number of Terminators in here. In fact, we kill 4 or 5. It's just going to be how it swings because these are 2 damage, and sometimes when you're killing Terminators, each model has 3, so you're going to lose some damage. We kill the same 5 8-bound. We actually do manage to finish off that second Talus. Again, it comes back to that strength 10 and strength 8 attacks. But against Angron, we actually do worse. Because I guess we do not have as many weight of attacks with the Death Company. And obviously, against Angron, we're only going to wound Angron on 4s, even with the +1 to wound. So the cheaper squad here does more damage against Angron, But the Death Company do out damage against everything else. But here's the thing. We already know that this squad has got the same survivability and is 15% cheaper. So if these numbers are about 15%, which they are for Incubi and they are for Terminators, then arguably you would say the damage out, the Assault Intercessors better value for money at this point. Because they're doing the same amount of damage and they're the same amount of survivability. And here's the kicker. There's more ways we can buff this damage, right? Because we can use Oath of Moment to give them full rerolls to hit. We can also be fighting on an objective to get full rerolls to wound. So although the Death Company have slightly better damage in these two cases, and again slightly better against the 8-bound and the Talos because of that strength 10, worse against Angron. If we actually were fighting Angron on an objective, or we were able to Oath of Moment into Angron, we'd be looking to pump that damage up almost to a point where, like, you could almost, if Angron was an objective, I think you would probably one-shot him with this very, very small squad of Assault Intercessors and a Captain. Something I possibly wouldn't have believed before doing these numbers. So yeah, this is very, very interesting. So for 155 points, then these guys' damage is really not too bad at all comparatively against Death Company. And a lot of people are worried about Death Company going away. This is very interesting in that I didn't expect these guys to be able to do as much damage. I think a bunch of the heavy lifting here is coming from that Captain with the dev wounds, though. Like, he is a phenomenally good character if he's attached to a useful unit, even more so if he's attached to a unit that lets him reroll all his wounds, like the Assault Intercessor. So for the dead comparison, it's pretty identical. You know, we already talked that Angron was taking more damage from the Assault Intercessors. The Death Company are going to kill one more Talus. They're maybe going to kill one more Terminator. But there is nothing negative to say about these Assault Intercessors. Nothing at all. And for 155 points, and the fact that two of them go in a Land Raider, it's very interesting. So I think I'm willing to concede here that Assault Intercessors plus a Captain combo for the points and the Alpha Strike potential is very decent. Especially with the ability to obtain both full rerolls from Oath of Moment, and if you're fighting within a range of an objective marker, you get full rerolls from Shock Assault. So good players, or smart plays, either or, you can make a smart play and not be a good player. You can be a good player and make a bad play, you know? If you can get the most out of these guys, and the fact that you can get two squads inside a Land Raider, it's kind of amazing. The ability to have the full rerolls and the potential dev wounds here is very spicy. I normally don't recommend the Blood Angels Relics in any shape or form, but in this list, if you did have 25 points spare, then Archangel Shard would actually be a pretty interesting pick if you find yourself up against Chaos, because then you would get dev wounds on 5s. And if you got 9 attacks hitting on 2s with rerolls, fishing for 5+s with rerolls, you could get a lot of dev wounds there. You know, like if Chaos are prevalent in your meta or something is going to, you're going to be fighting against Chaos, then this is actually a really interesting relic. And normally I would say that it's crap, for lack of a better word. The outlier here, though, in terms of the Death Company being better, are they're likely to be units with T7 through T10 that the Death Company will outdamage this squad in, right? Because Death Company will have better wound rolls and 2 damage across the whole squad against those units. But I don't really think that's kind of what you're designing the squad to do, right? If you've got toughness 7 enemies, then usually as a Blood Angels player, you've maybe already got that 10 Death Company with Lamartas in your list. So make them deal with that, and have these guys deal with units that they can do well against. And really, these guys actually can do well against, they did well against Angron. 12 damage against Angron. Before we add in Oath of Moment, and before we add in rerolls on an objective, is actually kind of insane. I didn't think they could do anything like that. I thought maybe do 8 or something, honestly. So these guys, the math doesn't lie. These guys are a very competitive choice for 155 points. Are a Captain and an Assault Intercessors hot stuff? I think yes, they are. You'd be no worse off really running the Death Company. Maybe when we finally lose the Firstborn Death Company, then this will be the squad that everybody gravitates to. Props to whoever's already figured this squad out and has been running it, because this is so spicy that it does make me feel like I should be trying it myself inside some of my Land Raiders. I have been playing a couple in the various games that I've been playing recently. Okay, So what do you need to do next? You need to like and subscribe to the channel if you felt like there was some value in this video. Remember, I am here every week with some tactics video trying to break down either the strongest units that you might want to field or looking at some of the best competitive army lists to try and help you and help our community of Blood Angels players be better Blood Angels players. So if that's something you're interested in, please do the YouTube algorithm stuff or consider subscribing. There's a big join button underneath this video or over on Patreon, and for like the price of a cup of coffee you can support me every month and help me out. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much to everybody that does that, and thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. I will catch you in the next tactics video. By the blood are we made strong, my brothers. Peace.